Alright fellas, it's been a few months since Tyson Fury's apparent retirement. I don't know about you, but I'm looking around and thinking, wait a second, he might be gone for good. But we all know Tyson Fury, the fella loves a retirement. But I kinda wanted to have a punt at what we should expect from the Gypsy King going forwards. The bloke's been awfully silent for a man usually so loud. So I want to have a look at the retirement, what's going on, and should we expect him back in the ring anytime soon. But just quickly, if you love boxing, you've found yourself in the right place. My name's Cloister and I make videos on everything boxing to keep you informed, so make sure to subscribe and I'll keep you in the loop. Now, Fury vs Usyk 1 and 2 were a couple of the biggest fights of Fury's career, both happening within the space of 6 months of each other. A bit of a change of pace compared to, say, the Wilder fights, which were really spaced far apart, due to the Saudis' usual rush, of course, to make the biggest fights ASAP. And that's resulted in us fight fans becoming a bit impatient, because now we're used to the big fights happening quickly, so of course we expect Fury, one of the darlings of Riyadh season, to be back quickly. Yet since then there has been relative silence, but to understand it, let's go back a bit. Fury coming into those Usyk fights was undefeated. He was the Gypsy King, coming back from adversity and didn't have a single blemish on his record other than that draw. And the first Usyk fight certainly wasn't an easy fight to make, with negotiations and fake retirements plaguing it for years. Between Wilder 3 and Usyk 1, we only saw Fury face off against 3 main opponents, those being White, Chisora and Ngannou. Not exactly the world level caliber opponent that the fans were pleading for. People criticize these mediocre opponents, yet when you can sell out stadiums fighting Chisora for the 3rd time, you can't really blame him. But after basically losing to Ngannou, that's when the pressure really started. How could you almost lose to a bloke who this isn't his main sport on debut as the reigning world champion? That pressure combined with a mega check on offer pushed him to make the Usyk fight finally happen. And we don't need to go on about what happened in those fights, but it definitely brought Fury back to reality. From a borderline perfect career to 2 losses. Not great for the boxing spirit. He had missed his chance to become undisputed, and now the legacy of being king he so dearly held on to now belonged to his opponent. But after these losses, there was a lot of hope that we would see Fury back in the ring relatively soon. He was saying pre-Usyk 2 that he was going to knock out the rest of the competition once getting through Usyk, and how that was only going to be just the start. Yet a second loss seemed to make him pedal back on all these plans. And after that came the retirement. A couple months ago, he released a video from the front seat of his car where he claimed this was going to be it for the Gypsy King. This all seemed pretty well timed though. When this was released, it was the same day as the press conference for Bivol Beterbiev 2. This just seemed like a way to show the people in charge that a video from the front seat of his car could be bigger news than what they were trying to say was going to be one of the best boxing cards ever. Even after a couple losses, he showed he still was the media king. Even at the time, I was compelled to cover the retirement over the press conference, simply because it was bigger news at the time. For a bloke who loves the spotlight, an official retirement from his car seemed unlikely, and that it was simply a negotiation tactic for whatever was next. But it's been a couple months and there's been complete silence. What broke the silence was a post teasing a big announcement a couple weeks ago, seemingly a fight at Old Trafford, but instead of a big fight, it turned out to be a post for Soccer Aid in a match in June at Old Trafford. With Tyson seemingly tied up for the next few months with Soccer Aid, where does that leave his boxing career? Well, it's all a bit complicated. Fury is 36, he's certainly not getting any younger. With his prime seemingly behind him, he doesn't have too many big fights left. The one that seems to be tailor-made for him to regain his status as king is Anthony Joshua. Although both are coming off losses, this fight is still huge, probably one of the biggest fights they could make in boxing currently, due to just how long the fans have been waiting and the massive personalities that they would bring to any promotion. Both know how to talk, and the promoters know this fight would do absolute numbers. This fight has been rumored for about a decade, but the big reason it's never actually happened is money. And also neither fighter wants to admit they're the B-side. The Joshua camp seemingly seems to be of the belief that even after Dubois, they're the ultimate A-side. They believe Joshua is the bigger brand, so he'll bring in more viewers, and as a result they want a larger percentage of the purse. Whilst Warren would feel the same way about Fury. Joshua's coming off a worse loss and Fury has a bigger fan base in Britain, so he would drive more sales. Even with the ridiculous amount of Saudi money floating around, this is the one fight they've been seemingly unable to make. but Fury is no stranger to taking a supersized break to get what he wants, and at this point in his career he knows this is probably one of the last mega fights he could possibly make, and probably Joshua knows also that this is one of the last mega fights that he can make too. For both fighters, I'd be surprised to see a tune-up for either next. I think both know the amount of money which would be on the line for a potential matchup and wouldn't want to risk it for a tune-up. Although, how long does Joshua wait? Fury claims that he's comfortably retired, but Joshua isn't. How long does Joshua wait on the sidelines hoping a deal comes through? It's almost an impossible question to answer. There has been one piece of positive news which has pointed in the direction of this fight actually happening, and that is Netflix has flagged their interest in having the fight on their platform. According to all the rumours, the first Dana White Saudi Boxing League fight will be Crawford and Canelo later this year on Netflix. Netflix wanted this fight as well as AJ vs Fury, and where there's smoke there's usually fire. One half of this seems to be true, and if that's the case, probably the other half is also. The Canelo Netflix fight hasn't been officially announced, but it seems like all roads are heading towards it. And Jake Paul also had a meltdown on Twitter that he wasn't the only one with a Netflix deal. You can pretty much assume that it's going to happen at this point. So with one half of the deal seemingly done, you could assume that the other half is at least in negotiation. If this fight does happen, it would be late this year, early next. But I wouldn't get your hopes up too much. After there being so much trouble so far, I would expect at least a few bumps in the road to go. I think this is really the only fight left for Fury. It would be an opportunity for him to finish his career on the ultimate high and get paid a mint to do so. I wouldn't really want to see him back in the ring in any other fight. A Fury Dubois or Parker fight would be exciting, yes, but a win wouldn't be legacy defining, and he just doesn't need it. I do believe he'll be back in the ring eventually, as it always seems to call him back. A retirement for Fury can never really be trusted, yet I hope it's for the spectacle against Joshua soon and not a surprise fight against Jake Paul in a couple years. Anyways guys, I want to hear what you think. What's next for Fury? Is he truly retired or is Joshua next? Let me know what you think down below. But thanks for watching fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.